Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Out and About in the UK. Coming up a little later in the show, we'll be meeting County Limerick singer-songwriter Don Mescall to find out a little bit more about his career. We'll also be catching up with our friends at Revive Active, who were in London recently to launch a brand new product called Mastermind. Well, the Cheltenham Festival is now in full swing, and we went along to O'Grady's bar in Seven Kings in Ilford to meet some of the cream of the horse racing fraternity and to pick up a few tips along the way. Luke, tell us about what's happening here tonight.
Well, this is the 10th year that we've been here to O'Grady's, and Seamus always lays on a fantastic gig. You know, there's always a mixture of people, you know, really knowledgeable people. People just come for a night out. Some people obviously come for winners. They're normally disappointed, but no, it's an annual event, and it's just a good crack.
It's a great do. It really is, and it's one I look forward to. There's plenty of lads we know in the audience as well, and they give you plenty of stick if they don't like what your selections are. That's for sure.
It's always a very good night, big crowd, good attendance, and we're always very well looked after by Seamus. It's a great night.
Would you look upon Cheltenham as a bigger festival for Irish than Aintree itself?
I think the Irish love coming to Cheltenham, and they love to have winners at Cheltenham. I think Aintree probably falls a bit close to Punchestown, which is a big festival in Ireland. So it's always Punchestown, or Cheltenham first, Punchestown then. So there'll be plenty of Irish coming over for this, and they'll be doing their damnedest to get as many winners as they can.
I always wanted to win the Gold Cup as a jockey, and I was lucky enough to win the National first. And it's only then the magnitude of what you've achieved hits you, because the Grand National is something that almost transcends sport. It's not just in the bubble that he's racing, but if you're involved in horse racing and you've won the Gold Cup, you've achieved something very special. And I think that's just what Cheltenham's all about.
I think the rivalry between the English and the Irish is what really makes Cheltenham for me. You know, it's friendly banter, but we both want to beat each other. Look, coming into this year's race, you look at every single race, and Willie Mullins seems to have a short price favourite. So, you know, plainly they are the team that everyone's gunning for. But as we know, history tells us not all the short ones win. So it's going to be fascinating again. But I love it. You know, you go to all the pubs and things in the evenings at Cheltenham, and there's still the banter all going on, and it certainly makes the meeting special.
It is the Olympics of our sport, and we're lucky we don't have to wait 4 years for it to come round. It really is. I feel blessed because I was lucky enough to ride a lot of winners there. And when you've walked into that winner's enclosure on a winner, there is nothing that matches it, nothing. And it's the only time actually when I really, really miss being a jockey is when I see somebody else going into the winner's enclosure having ridden a big winner.
Do you know, to win at the Cheltenham Festival was as good an experience as I've ever had in my life. My only regret was that I did it when I was, 18 or 19, and I assumed there would be more. Unfortunately, there wasn't. But no, it's just, there's something about that place. You know, I love going to Newbury, I love going to Punchestown, but Cheltenham's just different. It's special, and to win there is what every jockey, every trainer, every owner wants to do. And I'll never forget it. 1987, the Coral Golden Hurdle on a horse called Taberna Lord. Special day for me.
I was lucky enough last year to win the World Hurdle on Coal Harden, but you know, this year I'm going into Cheltenham with a few nice rides, and very much looking forward to it.
Very hard to get winners there, but go there with a few nice rides this year, and hopefully we can get a few more winners.
Any tips for us?
A couple of nice rides, to ride a nice horse in the Supreme Bouvet for Nicky Henderson the first day, and a couple of other nice rides through the week. Hopefully we can get the ball rolling early.
I have a few nice horses. I've got Alamomo, he runs in a handicap, and you know, I've got out Sam that hopefully will get into the handicap as well. He's got a solid chance. He's been very impressive this year. I got a favourite in the Pretem's Hurdle. He's got a very good chance as well. You know, he's been very impressive this year. He seems to be doing everything right, and you know, I'm hoping the three of them will be very solid chances, and that's, you know, not even saying Coal Harden as well, but I'm very hopeful that we get our good ground, but we'll need our good ground to be successful.
Looking forward to a Friday, obviously, with the Gold Cup. Again, the Irish have got such a strong hand. But I've got a nagging suspicion that Don Poley's going to be the one. As we know, he's a winner at the festival. He won the RSA last year. He's not the fastest horse. He's not a flash horse. He's not a horse that the public really taken on board. And for that reason, he's a decent price. But he's a doer stayer. He jumps really well. And I just think he's going to surprise a few people. So Don Poley's going to be my tip for the Gold Cup.
I'm going against Willie Mullins in the first, so one of Nicky Henderson too. Altior, Bouvier Dare. One of our panellists tonight, Noel Feely, rides Bouvier Dare. So I think that's got a very good each way chance. But I just think that you're looking for value this year behind the favourites. There's so many short priced horses. Just look through historically how many of those short priced ones win. They don't all win, and there's a little bit of value to be had in a few outsiders this year.
Well, I'm certainly armed with some tips there for the remainder of the Cheltenham Festival. And many thanks there to Seamus and Anna O'Grady for inviting us along to such an enjoyable evening. Revive Active have recently launched a brand new product called Mastermind, which helps to improve brain and cognitive function, helps the nervous system and indeed mental performance. We went along to the product launch in central London. Dahi, tell us about Revive Active.
Well, Revive Active is a health food supplement company. We're based in Galway City. We started trading in 2011. We brought out our first product, which is the same as the brand, Revive Active Original. That's a health food supplement for well-being, and it gives energy, immune system, cardiovascular health, mental focus. We moved on then and we introduced new products like our krill oil, a CoQ10 ubiquinol product. Then we worked on a joint complex for about 18 months. We launched that in October 2014. This has been a phenomenal success. It's the #1 selling product in Lloyd's Pharmacy in Ireland. We're selling here in the UK, and it's probably the most comprehensive and best value product on the market in Europe at the moment. So we're actually delighted with the feedback, both from people who are aging. We had a customer who was 75 years old, couldn't get to the front gate, and now she's out walking 2 miles. We've had county hurlers who are still playing club take it every morning because it keeps them mobile. But today is a special day. We're here in John Bell and Croydon, in the heart of the medical district, which is Wigmore Street, Harley Street, Wimpole Street, and we're delighted to be launching Mastermind. Mastermind is a cognitive function and memory health product. Comes in a sachet, has a beautiful orange taste. It's a fantastic product for exam students, for decision makers, and for those active aging. We all talk about feeding our bodies and keeping nutrition for our bodies, but we really need to start thinking about nutrition for our brains.
There's a lot of benefit here for a number of people. I mean, not only just the people over 60 who are starting to suffer from that memory fog, the where's my key syndrome. It really helps promote, natural brain function as well as memory development, but highly, highly important to students as well, because they're putting more stress on their brain than ever before. The brain is always constantly trying to absorb, process, store, and recall information. This requires a lot of rewiring in the brain, and that's really where Mastermind comes in. It essentially supplies the resources to the brain to be able to rewire itself, to be able to function properly, get the most out of our function and memory every single day.
So a product for both young and old, a very far-reaching product.
Absolutely. If you think of memory health, if we throw a stone here from Harley Street, we can get to the financial district. Anybody dealing, decision makers, people who have to use their minds, people in universities, lecturers. The brain is very important for everybody, but this is a product that will certainly help.
We've been formulating it for about a couple of years now. We sat down with Northumberland University Brain Performance Nutrition Research Center to really solidify and refine, the most optimum formula that we could possibly do to really focus on brain function, nervous system function, mental performance, and cognitive function. And really it began with research that started about a couple of years ago, looking at actually the formation of memories. And what we see is that the brain relies heavily on 3 substrates, including omega-3 fatty acid DHA, choline, and uridine. And when you actually supply the body these 3 in tangent, they have an absolute beautiful reaction in terms of physiology to helping promote synapse development and help memory building. And this isn't surprising because when we think of something particularly like omega-3 fatty acid DHA, it actually encompasses 40% of the fatty acids in the brain. 50% of the fatty acids in the neurons, the actual nervous system cells, and 60% of the fatty acids within the eyes. So when you have something that abundant, it's very clear to see how important it is to not only the structure and the function of the brain, and that's really what we want to focus on.
We're very, very pleased to be in John Bell and Croydon. This pharmacy is 200 years old. It's an iconic premises. It's been recently refurbished. It's now part of the Lloyd's Pharmacy Group, but it's a standalone pharmacy itself. It's got the Royal Seal, and we're delighted to be here.
What kind of feedback have you been getting from customers who have been using some of the Revive Active products?
Especially for the joints complex, we had amazing feedback that the people who had experienced big pain, now they're feeling much better. And for the Revive Active one as well, for people, especially for athletes that needs a lot of energy and boost, they said that is the best supplement, natural supplement is the best they can give them all the supports needed for training especially.
So if people want to get hold of the new Mastermind product, how can they do that?
Yeah, for the moment in London, we would ask you to come to John Bell and Croydon. You can go to Lloyd's pharmacies, Lloyd's and Selfridges, and obviously you can go to our online reviveactive.com where we ship the following day.
Many thanks there to Dáithí O'Connor from Revive Active for inviting us along there to their product launch. We're going to take a break right now, but do come back to us for the second half of the show. You're very welcome back to the show. Well, County Limerick born Don Mescall has worked with the likes of Aslan, the Backstreet Boys, Richie Haven and Ronan Keating. We've been along to his London studio to find out more about his life, his love of music and where it all began.
I'm from a little hurling parish called Ahan in County Limerick, which is quite near to Tipperary, really, the border of Tipperary. I have 8 sisters and 2 brothers, and a lot of whom actually live in around the same area. You know, it's still kind of, my mother is the centre of everything, and then they live on the perimeter of that. I was 10 when my father died, which was a big, a life-changing moment. Can you imagine, and that? But Mum managed to raise us all. We all turned out okay, I suppose, it was a great place to grow up, really, hurling and Gaelic football and, all the usual things. I discovered music when I was in my later teens, and I found that music, or indeed songwriting, became this sort of pressure valve where I could express how I felt, through music. My poor family then, had to be that audience for me initially, and, they had to sit down and listen to those very personal songs of mine about how I felt, the typical artist thing, but it was good for me because I could get out all of those, sort of get rid of some of the darkness, and it became, I suppose, through the years, then it almost became my best friend, because through relationships or anything, and when they're gone, you still have music. You can still sit down and pick up the guitar or write a song or work on a lyric, and that's why I always encourage parents, to always have music and instruments around the house, because I think it's a good thing for kids, and certainly for me, it's been my best friend. I had started off playing in pubs in Ireland, pubs and clubs playing covers, and that's how I learnt my trade. I learnt how to perform in front of people that would go to the pub on a Friday night, basically. But the repertoire that I had was very much older than I was. And, I was playing stuff from all of these artists, that I loved the songs of. And then when I moved to London, I decided, because I couldn't really convert that audience in a pub in Ireland. Can you imagine on a Saturday night or something, and you're playing American Pie, and you're playing, and here's the song I wrote about how I feel. That's the moment that everybody goes to the bar. You know what I mean? Because they don't want to hear that. So I knew that would be difficult. So I decided then at that stage to move to London and become a singer-songwriter.
I got lost in the fields that day. I could hear your voice, but it was miles away. telling me it wasn't safe out on my own. So I best come home. You and me were like scattered seeds. Most times found it so hard to agree. I knew there was a part of me you'd never know until I left home. And oh, it's a long road where you don't know where you're going. It's a long, hard road, takes you away from where you've been, and you never know till you roll away the stone. The road you take, well, it runs both ways, and one day you come home.
I then started playing all of the singer-songwriter nights and all of that, you know, and it was a change for me because, you know, you start at the bottom of the bill, and then out of the blue I got a call. I think it was the Mean Fiddler in Harlesden at the time, where I had been kind of playing, you know, would I open for Richie Havens? And when the phone call came through to me, it was the phone call that I had been waiting for all my life, but also the scariest request ever, because there was a couple of things. I was almost afraid to meet him. I held him in such high regard, you know. What Richie used to do was he would start the performance with the band in the dressing room and warm up, and each of them would play something, and then he'd transfer that onto the stage. What a fantastic, you know. So so now I use that when I gig. So you don't go onto the stage cold. You're already in performance mode. You know, it's just that now you have an audience, and I'll always remember that moment because he said to me, "Now," he said, "you play me something," and I had literally a week before written a song called Paradise, and it was that new that I had the lyric sheet with me. I was going to do it on the night, but I had the lyric sheet with me, and I thought, you know, well, I'll play this because as a songwriter you always feel best about the latest thing that you've written or the newest thing you've written. So I played it for him, and he said, "Oh my God," he said, "I'm going to record that." And it was almost like too much. It was, you know, I've met him. I've now played him a song that I've just written. He's going to record it, and he said it. He's going to record it. And he did, and he championed me in America, and every time he played the song, he told the audience about me, and we became friends, and I toured with him, and it was just like, it changed my life. What I didn't realize was, you know, that he was a huge kind of a cult figure in America, you know, and the fact that I had a song on his record instantly, how come this guy, you know, and what's this guy doing? And all of a sudden people were asking me for songs, and I didn't plan it that way, it just seemed to happen. The strange thing, I suppose, kind of about myself, if I was to start to look at myself, is that the songwriting part for me is almost more exciting than getting the song on a record. It's like, it's that moment of creation where you're sitting either on your own or with somebody else that you might be co-writing with, and a song is born from it. I don't want to make it sound like, you know, it's something that it's not, but it is pretty special because some of those songs then stay around for so many years, and they become part of other people's lives, and you know, because people say that about music, don't they, that they can always relate a certain time of their life to music that they were listening to, or a song that kind of, you know, what would, you know, describe that moment for them. And that's the strangest thing over the years, is that moment of creation of a song to me is why I'm in the music business. So recently when I was I went to Paris, and because I've been working with this young girl from France on her record. So I went to the last show on the tour, you know, and I guested with her, and I got up and sang with her. But it was a great moment for me, really, because it was nice to go back with the artist. And I do that occasionally, because they've been out there promoting the record that you've worked so hard, and you've actually put a piece of your heart into it. And it's good for you because you can see then how the audience is reacting to the songs. And then you can remember, of course, when you wrote the song and the circumstances around that. So that was lovely to perform in Paris with her and just get up and sing a song that was special to both of us. You know, I figured out that some of the stuff that I had been writing, I related to it, and I thought, oh my God, this makes me feel better to sing it. I'd kind of forgotten I was a singer, you know, because you work with all these other people, and ultimately they're the artist, and you walk away when the job is done, when the album is done, and then they go out on the road and tour and promote it and talk about the songs. And it's just that I found there was a certain part of me that kind of missed that, the performance part, because I think there's, you know, it's like full circle with the song. You write the song, that creative process is amazing, but there's also the other part then of playing that song to people and the feedback from people, what they think of it or what the song means to them and all of that. And as a songwriter, it kind of keeps you going. It keeps you, maybe, if you wake up in the morning and you think, you know what, I'm going to write a song today, or I'm going to make some music today. It's a continuum of that moment, you know. So I came around to the idea again of making a record. So when I got my studio kind of up and running, I thought, you know, maybe the timing is right now, because I'm more in control. And I suppose I'm at that stage in my career where I can pick and choose what I want to do a little bit more.
I watch you sleep in the eye of the storm. With the secrets you keep on a bed made of thorn. The trouble is truth doesn't have many friends. In the guilty unite and deny till how brave are the ones who decide not to run. They wait at the battle though the war wasn't won. You wanted to learn why this life gets so dark. Well, the deeper the scar, the more fragile the heart. Oh, and therefore this saving grace, truth is a safer place. No reason, no rhyme, no measure of time is ever enough. If you look to the stars, you can measure how far to the depth of my love.
Many thanks there to Don, and we'd like to thank him for taking the time out to speak to us about his amazing career. If you'd like to contact the show, send an email to ian@irishtv.ie, and you can also find us on Facebook and on Twitter. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have right now, but do come back to us next week when we'll be out and about in the UK.